Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month, teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching, as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
Conversations make up cultures. So often organizations will talk about their workplace culture and their engagement studies, when in fact what we really need to be focusing on is each and every conversation we have with our people. Now that seems a little bit minuscule and trite and quite frankly even a little theatrical. But let's just take a typical scenario in corporate America. Somebody gets called into the boss's office. What's the employee's first impression? It's usually, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Why is that? Because that's exactly what managers do. They'll provide corrective action, constructive feedback, what they need to fix. Rarely, sadly, rarely do managers call their employees into the office for the good things they're doing. So let's go with our first scenario. Someone gets called into the office. The boss unloads some corrective, constructive feedback, and the boss thinks it's over. The conversation's over. Actually, the conversation just started. Because that employee is going to leave the office, go back to the work area, the cubicles where all his or her coworkers are sitting. And they're going to ask the proverbial question. So what did the boss say? And guess what? Here's where the emotional interpretation and spinning starts. Oh, he's so mad at me. He totally took what I did out of context. He doesn't understand me. And the 4 or 5 people listening to this, guess what they do? They tell 2 or 3 other people. Now there's 10 to 20 versions of what happened. Now whether the boss was correct or incorrect, if that's the only conversation at a foundational level, if a collection of leaders and bosses have these type of conversations in your organization, honestly, what's the adjective you would describe your culture? So let me tell you a quick story. I had a client at one of our workshops come up to me and was talking about an employee, really frustrated. And every time I offered her a suggestion, she said, yeah, but. And so I smiled. And I did something pretty aggressively. I looked at her and I said, I really wish you a lot of luck. And I walked away from her. She was a little bit taken back and I think even a little offended. And she followed me and she said, is that it? And I said, well, would you mind if I kind of shared something with you? She said, sure. I said, I offered you 3 or 4 suggestions. Do you know I never completed one of my sentences? I said, so I'm going to leave you with a thought. And I actually don't want to hear any feedback. I don't want you to utter a word for like maybe 60 seconds and just kind of digest what I'm about to share with you. She nodded. I said, I kind of get why you're not having success with the guy you're coaching. Because if I just experienced what he's experiencing, he's focused on your emotion. He's focused on why you're angry. I don't even know you. And you cut me off 4 times and asked me for help. So I have the choice of not continuing the conversation with you. He doesn't. But to say that he's leaving your office motivated, inspired, feeling like he's progressing in the right direction, probably isn't going to occur. Now, I know you want to say something. I can see it. I know you want to see it. And she says something really, really aggressive to me. And she smiled. And I said, let's take a break, go get a soda. Let's come back in 5 minutes and talk. Within about 5 minutes, she came back and we chatted. And guess what happened? She was a completely different person. And she said, wow, that was interesting. I said, reflection's powerful. The other thing is, your intention is being countered by the perception you're creating. So conversationally, I want you to try something. You've been coaching this guy for a year. So if you try something for 4 weeks, it's not going to ruin anything, right? She said, right. I said, no constructive feedback for 30 days. Call him into the office once a week for the good stuff, specific good stuff he's truly doing. And one of those times I want your boss waiting in the office with you to hear that positive feedback. What I was really doing is conditioning her behavior. About 45 days later, after the conference where she attended my workshop, she sent me an email. She said, wow, he's starting to engage more. He's starting to ask for feedback. We're moving in the right direction. Conversations make up cultures. Values, corporate values, principles, mission statements do not create your culture unless our conversations support them.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.